What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing the legendary beasts in the Open Great League, not for the first time, as I'm sure a lot of long-term viewers of the channel will know I've actually featured this trio on many separate occasions, and it seems like Niantic want to buff at least one of the trio pretty much every single season, and yet each time I run them, no matter how many times they get buffed, it seems like I just struggle to get any wins at all. However, this season may be different, as all three of these Pokemon were buffed, with Suicune learning Ice Fang, Raikou learning Thundershock, and Entei learning Fire Fang. So, are they finally usable in the Go Battle League? Well, I'm going to be completely honest here, they still kind of suck, and actually, I nearly scrapped this video entirely the other day after trying to get some wins and just getting hard countered or completely core broken in almost every single battle. It was honestly incredibly depressing, but I took a short break, I adjusted the order of the Pokemon on this team, and I at least found some success at the second attempt, so I do at least have some wins to showcase. But yeah, I definitely do not recommend this team. I don't recommend these Pokemon at all, but we're going to be showcasing some battles anyway. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which legendary Pokemon would you like to see get a buff next season, and how would you buff that Pokemon? Let me know in the comment section down below, and with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so heading into the first battle, leading Shadow Suicune into Jumpluff. Now, this is actually a really good matchup for us, as I am running Ice Fang. The opponent's going to Stage Swap into Malamar. I don't have a direct response, so I'm going to stay in. Unfortunately, they do outpace me to the first charge move, but Suicune is definitely the bulkiest Pokemon on this team, so we're going to tank that. We're going to fire off a Scald. Scald is going to be shielded. Unfortunately, we don't debuff their attack. However, we're going to swap into our Shadow Raikou and go straight for the Wild Charge, outpacing them there, and Wild Charge gets the one shot as the opponent does not want to double shield. At this point, the opponent's going to come in with a Thunderfang Steelix. Now, honestly, this isn't too bad for us because I can at least resist the Thunderfangs. I've double debuffed my defense, so they're still going to take me out with the fast move pressure, but they no shield the Shadow Ball, and that is huge for me. They do get a big farm down, but we're going to come in with the Shadow Entei, go for two Fire Fangs, randomly swap and catch the charge move onto my Suicune as they fire off the Psychic Fangs there. That doesn't actually quite take us out. I don't know if they undercharged that or if they did fully charge it, but either way, we can take the next Psychic Fangs, get the Fire Fang farm down, and now two shields and a Shadow Entei should be absolutely fine here, because of course with Fire Fang we get to the Flame Charge slightly faster. Flame Charge is going to be shielded, but it will boost up our attack, ramping up the damage of the Fire Fangs. The opponent will reach one final charge move, but unfortunately for them, they're not going to make it to a third Aerial Ace, so we use our final shield, get the Fire Fang farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up over there into next battle. We can see Shadow Suicune into Dusknoir. Now, Dusknoir did get buffed last season, actually, well, double buffed as it gained access to Shadow Punch, and also Astonish got a huge buff, and honestly, you don't really see it too much, and that's kind of just because it gets completely walled by basically any normal type or dark type Pokemon. The coverage just isn't really great for it. However, in neutral situations, it is a very strong Pokemon. At this point, we've grabbed a shield advantage with a Bubble Beam. However, we're still fairly glassy with the Entei, so I'm going to shield anyways, go for that full Fire Fang farm down, and we're going to come out with very close to a charge move loaded. Now, the opponent comes in with a Dunsparce. I'm going to fire off the Flame Charge here. Flame Charge is going to be shielded by the opponent, which is very nice for me, and the opponent is actually going to stay in, eventually swap out there, catch the charge move, bank the energy. We go for Scorching Sands there, as I believe Scorching Sands does do slightly more damage, and honestly, I thought they were going to stay in with the Dunsparce, but either way, we can now come in with the Shadow Raikou, and because of the Thunder Shocks doing more damage now, I'm actually able to farm down the Wigglytuff, come out with the Wild Charge loaded. Dunsparce was also loaded on energy, but we win CMP, Wild Charge gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there into next battle. You can see a Shadow Quagsire in the lead, so definitely where we want to sit here, and unfortunately, I will actually shield the first charge move here. I need to get rid of this Quagsire, so what we're going to do, shield at the Stone Edge, I'm going to overfarm quite considerably, and then fire off a Bubble Beam here. This is quite risky, and the opponent's actually going to no-shield this. However, because I debuff their attack, I can now safely no-shield. If they do go for a Stone Edge, not going to threaten a shield there. We can go for the Ice Fang farm down, however, we are fairly low. Now, the opponent comes in with a Dunsparce. Dunsparce is a core breaker to the back line, but we're going to debuff their attack once again, come in with the Shadow Raikou. They can unfortunately just barely outpace me to that first charge move, and as well, because they have that energy advantage, I'm not going to reach back-to-back Wild Charges before they do reach the next drill run as well, so not looking too good for us. We go for the Wild Charge there. Wild Charge is going to grab that shield from the opponent, and at this point, the opponent fires off the drill run there. They've still got a shield advantage. This is not looking too good for us, but we're going to come in with the Shadow Entei. My switch clock is now up, so I can swap as the opponent reaches the next charge move, catching it onto the Suicune. Rockside gets the KO there, and we're going to go for a full Fire Fang farm down, but the opponent actually swaps out there, and that actually is going to be huge for the opponent as we go for the Flame Charge. Flame Charge, gonna boost up our attack here, and you can see we just barely miss out on reaching another charge move. However, both moves are resisted. I don't think we would have got the KO despite being boosted there, but unfortunately, Flame Charge from the Talonflame takes out the Entei, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's to opponent there into next battle. A very interesting lead as we see Miss Magius in the lead there. They're actually on Magical Leaf, which is probably not the recommended moveset these days. I believe it learns at least Psywave and possibly even Sucker Punch as well. However, the opponent is on Magical Leaf, so I had to swap out there, as of course we were taking super effective damage on our Suicune. We go for the Scorching Sands there, and the reason for that is because we debuff their attack, so now they go for Flame Charge. Flame Charge is resisted. I'm actually able to make it to a second Scorching Sands and get the KO there, so grabbed both a shield advantage and switch advantage. And whilst they do have more Morpeko going to be a bit of a core breaker for this team, I can come in with the Raikou, fire off a Wild Charge here, probably going to grab the final shield, and then I'm just going to swap into my Suicune and fully sacrifice it. The opponent fires off the charge move, the opponent actually goes for a bait there, there is so unnecessary. I don't know why they went for a Psychic Fangs. I'm just going to no shield once again, and again they go for Psychic Fangs. Opponent just go for the actual Aura Wheel there. You could have taken us out very comfortably, but now we can go for a Bubble Beam. Bubble Beam going to debuff their attack. I actually stopped attacking for a split second there because I realized I can get the perfect farm down here, and the opponent might have energy on their Morpeko, but it doesn't matter. We've got a shield, and we come out with the Wild Charge loaded. Wild Charge gonna be hitting for resisted damage, but it still gets the one shot, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's top over there into next battle, Shadow Suicune into Salazzle. So this is an okay matchup for us. The opponent say swaps into a Shadow Ferrothorn. We come in with the Shadow Entei, get the full Fire Fang farm down. And let's see what the opponent wants to do. The opponent probably going to come back in with the Salazzle, and they do. We can go straight for a Scorching Sands here. Scorching Sands obviously going to hit for double super effective. It easily gets the one shot, and at this point the opponent has clearly just given up here. They could have shielded if they wanted to, but I think they realise it's game over. We're going to go for a Flame Charge. Flame Charge goes unshielded, and Shadow Entei fully sweeping an entire team. And that's probably the first time and only time Shadow Entei will ever do something like that. So, yeah, I mean, the Fire Fang buff did come in quite nicely there for us, as of course, with that Fire Fang, I typically run Fire Spin in previous seasons, and you just wouldn't get that full farm down up against the Ferrothorn before they reach the charge move. So, I guess that did kind of help us there. But anyways, into next battle, we're going to see a Serperior in the lead, and they're going to swap, catch the next charge move onto my Entei. Honestly, I probably could have just let us go down there, but either way, we're going to see a Talonflame coming in, and unfortunately, because we're on Fire Fang and not Fire Spin, we don't reach a charge move here, so they go for a Fly. Fly does get the KO here. We can come in with either Pokemon, but I think I'm going to come in with my Shadow Raikou, and these Thunder Shocks are actually chunking, but also we're taking huge damage from the Incinerate, so I will be able to shield once, I will be able to go for a full Thunder Shock farm down. However, we've gotten deep into the red health range, and I hadn't really realized that. They're now going to come in with the Serperior. We're going to fire for Wild Charge here. Honestly, I probably should have swapped into my Suicune and gone for at least an attempted Ice Fang farm down there, as they're going to have a Clodsire in the back. Now we can go for the Scald. Scald is going to be shielded. We don't get the debuff there, and the opponent throws at the perfect timing just as we're reaching the Bubble Beam. Stone Edge gets the KO there. Have we put them into Shadow Ball range? Shadow Raikou has a monster attack stat, but Shadow Ball doesn't quite get the KO there, and unfortunately they will reach another charge move. The opponent fires off the Stone Edge. Stone Edge takes out our Shadow Raikou, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG's top over there into next battle. We see Clodsire in the lead this time around, so definitely much better to see it here. We are going to no-shield the first charge move as they do throw straight away. Just going to be a Sludge Bomb. Doesn't do too much damage. They then swap into Drifblim, and honestly, maybe I should have thrown a charge move there, just because if I went for a Scald and they shielded, then we can come in with the Shadow Raikou, at least make it to 2 Wild Charges here before they reach the next charge move, or if they no-shielded, I could then get a huge farm down. But either way, we can reach back-to-back Wild Charges, but we will not be able to get the KO here. If the opponent double shields, they will flip switch advantage, which really is not ideal for me. Now, what we're going to do is come in with the Shadow Entei, as I thought the opponent might just blind throw a Icy Wind straight away, but no, they actually overfarm, still go for the Icy Wind, debuff my attack, which is definitely not ideal. We're going to swap back into Suicune. I didn't throw straight away because I didn't want it to be caught. However, the opponent does not make a swap yet. They then eventually swap into Wigglytuff. I think that is a big mistake. They should have just swapped out straight away, but now we can go for a Bubble Beam here. Bubble Beam is going to debuff their attack. attack. We can come back in with the Shadow Entei. Again, I think Scorching Sands does ever so slightly more damage here. So we go for the Scorching Sands, gets the KO there. One more Fire Fang, takes out the Clodsire, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG Super there, into next battle. You can see Alolan Ninetales in the lead, so we're going to stay in here. Not really ideal for us because we are running Ice Fang, of course. However, I don't really want to swap out because my Raikou's not going to do very well into it either. However, the opponent swaps into Toxapex. Now, I've made an adjustment since playing this battle here, but unfortunately, you're going to see if I come in with the Shadow Raikou, if we go straight Wild Charge in this matchup, even if I overfarm as much as I possibly can before throwing each Wild Charge, unfortunately, in the 2-shield scenario, they can just fully Poison Jab farm me down. So, they go for the Brine there. You can see I farm up to back-to-back Wild Charges. However, this Wild Charge gonna debuff my defense, and it means I actually get KO'd there, despite having a second Wild Charge already loaded. So, definitely not ideal for us. In future battles, what I did do is, instead of swapping straight away, I would actually fire off a Bubble Beam first. That way we take a lot less damage from those Poison Jabs. However, the opponent's then going to swap back into Ninetales, possibly giving me an opportunity to get back into this game. However, they are running Psyshock. Psyshock does huge damage there. We don't even come out with a Charge We've loaded. The opponent is going to come back in with the Toxapex. We can go straight for a Flame Charge here. Flame Charge, of course, going to boost up our attack. And unfortunately, the opponent's going to have a Galarian Stunfisk in the back. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it to a Charge Move, or at least not to a Scald anyways, so I just concede the match there. But GG Super there, into the next battle, going to see Serperior in the lead once again. So once again, going to stay in this matchup. I'm definitely just going to shield here, respect the damage. And the opponent goes for the Frenzy Plant there, which is fine with me. They then swap into a Gastrodon, so we're going straight for Bubble Beam here. Honestly, I don't expect to grab a shield. However, if the opponent no-shields this, they might just no-shield the next Charger as well, expecting another Bubble Beam, so we go for the Scald this time around. That does huge damage, and we get the attack debuff there. So I'm hoping that maybe, after 2 debuffs, we would live the Earth Power, and we do exactly that. Now we can come in with our Shadow Entei, and things are looking fairly good. However, we don't know what's in the back. They could have the perfect Core Breaker to my backline, and they actually come in with a Clodsire, which is kind of a perfect Core Breaker to my backline. However, we're going to go for the Scorching Sands. Scorching Sands is going to be shielded by the opponent. And at this point, we are going to have to shield this up here, as of course, we're not going to be able to output enough Thundershock damage to put them into Shadow Ball range. However, now we've got them into the Yellow Health range. We also catch the Sludge Bomb onto my Shadow Raikou, which is huge for me, but I did not bank a Flame Charge or a Scorching Sands as I swapped out there. So Shadow Ball actually goes unshielded by the opponent, and that is huge for me, because if the opponent just shielded that, they could have farmed me down, come out with a Charge We've loaded. I did not have the Scorching Sands, and I would have lost there. But luckily for me, the opponent probably not expecting the Shadow Ball, no shields, and we're able to take that game. But into the next battle, and you can see another opponent swapping into Toxapex. So this time, we are going to go for that Bubble Beam. Now we can come in with the Shadow Raikou, and this is much more comfortable for us. However, I'm still going to shield the first Charge Move anyways, and then I will farm up to at least back-to-back Wild Charges before throwing. And actually, I always farmed up to 99 energy, as this is as much as I can overfarm here, really, as we go for the Wild Charge, and the opponent actually no shields this time. Now they're going to come in with a Shadow Quagsire, which is honestly not very good for us at all. We fire off the Shadow Ball there. We wouldn't have made it to back-to-back Wild Charges, I don't believe so. Might as well just full send the Shadow Ball there. We're now going to come back in with the Shadow Suicune. I'm hoping the opponent swaps back into Wigglytuff, and they do exactly that. But this game is not over yet. We're going for the Fire Fang farm down. The opponent does not throw a Charge Move. That might actually be intentional, as the opponent probably looking to farm us down here. We go for Scorching Sands, and we don't get an attack debuff there. If we debuff their attack, we make it to a second Scorching Sands. We probably win the game there. But unfortunately, without that attack debuff, they get the perfect farm down, make it to a Stone Edge. Stone Edge gets the KO, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG Super there, into the next battle, we see Shadow Golurk in the lead. Great lead for us. The opponent save swaps into a Magical Leaf Victory Bell, and they don't even farm up to a potential Sludge Bomb, so I'm definitely just going to no shield. Leaf Blade honestly does big damage there, but it does not get the KO, and it also allows us to just barely get to a Scorching Sands here. Scorching Sands is going to be shielded. It does not debuff their attack once again, however, it doesn't really matter. We can come in with the Shadow Suicune, shield once, and then go for a full Ice Fang farm down. We're going to come out with a Scald loaded as they come in with an Umbreon as their final Pokemon. So at this point, we just go straight for the Scald here. Scald is not going to debuff their attack once again, but it doesn't really matter at this point. We can tank anything they throw, so I'm just going to stay in with the Suicune. They go for a Foul Play. Actually, honestly, Dark Pulse maybe would have got the KO there, but either way, we can go for another Scald. Scald grabs the final shield. This time we do debuff their attack. Doesn't really make a difference here, as we can go straight for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge gets the KO up against the Umbreon, and I'm able to take that game. So GG top in there. Into next battle, we see more Pekko in the lead. So honestly, I didn't have too many matchups where I needed to swap out of my lead matchup there, but definitely that is one of them. So we're going to swap into our Shadow Entei, and unfortunately, it's not looking too good for us as we're met with Azumarill. We make it to a Scorching Sands, but the opponent does not commit to a full farm down. That is actually quite nice for us. They go for an Ice Beam gets the KO, but that's okay. What I'm going to do is come in with my Shadow Suicune. I'm going to tank the move, and then I will be able to swap out into my Raikou, try and get a full Thunder Shock farm down. However, the opponent probably will swap out of the matchup when I swap into my Raikou, but we bank a Bubble Beam, and the opponent comes in with a Trevenant now. We're going straight for the Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball, of course, going to hit for super effective damage, and the opponent does not respect it. I don't understand why. I guess they just have never seen a Shadow Raikou in the Go Battle League ever before, and at this point, the opponent goes for a Psychic Fangs once again, going for that unnecessary bait there, allowing me to reach a Wild Charge. Wild Charge grabs a shield from the Morpeko. This game is still not over. We're now going to go for a Bubble Beam here. Bubble Beam probably going to grab the final shield from the opponent. It does grab that shield, and at this point, we are, of course, going to start shielding as the opponent does go for another Psychic Fangs here. Doesn't really make a difference if they go for Psychic Fangs or if they go for Aura Wheel. However, if the opponent does swap back into Azumarill, going for Psychic Fangs is the right play here, as it will debuff my defense. The opponent then makes a brilliant catch there, but I think I still need to fully charge this, as Azumarill will probably reach a Charge Move. If I don't, we do still get the Ice Fang farm down, and it ends up being a simultaneous KO there. So honestly, I couldn't remember if Azumarill had any residual energy there. Maybe if I undercharged that, I could have come out with another Bubble Beam loaded. However, I think they probably would have reached an Ice Beam. So I think a draw is probably the best I could have got out of that matchup, but GG's to the opponent there. Into next battle, I can't remember what was in the lead. However, they say swap into Trevenant. We get the full Fire Fang farm down. We do have to expend one shield, but we're probably going to grab a shield back from the opponent as we go straight for a Scorching Sands here. And Scorching Sands is actually no shielded by the opponent. And this game probably overhid. Of course, it depends what they've got in the back. They fire off the Sludge Bomb. They've got Greninja in the back. So honestly, this is just a case of RPS. However, it's still going to be slightly dicey here. We're going to swap into our Raikou. I do debuff their attack. I'm going to shield this. Honestly, if they baited with a Night Slash and got a boost, that might have been very dicey for us. However, they full send the Hydro Cannon. And since we've debuffed their attack, Hydro Cannon does not quite get the KO. We get a simultaneous KO there, which is perfect for us. As now we can come in, get the Ice Fang farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up in there. Into next battle, we see Mandibuzz in the lead. So once again, Suicune actually doing pretty well here in this lead matchup. Gonna hit for super effective damage with the Ice Fangs. The opponent is gonna choose to stay in, and once again, Suicune is the bulkiest on the team, so I'm gonna no shield that. They then swap into Azumarill. We bank a Scald. We come in with our Shadow Raikou, and again, of course, gonna shield this up at least with Azumarill. Bubble doesn't hit nearly as hard as the poison jabs from a Toxapex, so I don't have to worry about them just fully farming me down. We can go for the Wild Charge. Wild Charge gets the one shot there. They then come in with a Mud Slap Gastrodon, and we're going straight for Shadow Ball here. Shadow Ball is going to be no shielded, which is huge for me. We absolutely needed that to land there, because of course Gastrodon going to be very good up against our Shadow Entei as well. We can now go for a Bubble Beam. They're at the point where they have to start shielding, which means they shield the Bubble Beam. We can now commit a shield here, and the opponent probably should be swapping back into the Mandibuzz. However, they let us fully farm them down. We're now going to go for another Bubble Beam here, and this seems like maybe a little bit of a throw. However, we need to debuff their attack, because I'm not confident that Shadow Entei can live 2 foul plays comfortably at least and reach a charge move here. Whereas now, because we've debuffed their attack, we will just barely get to a Flame Charge. I mean, we do outpace them anyways, but Flame Charge grabs the final shield. They can throw a charge move here, and the opponent is actually going to go for an Aerial Laser, which is definitely a misplay, but it looks like they're trying to go for a farm down there, come out with a charge move loaded, but it backfires as we get the Fire Fang farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So GG's up in there. Into next battle, we see Dunsparce in the lead, so we are going to stay in here. Of course, this is where we want to see it. I'm going to no shield the first charge move, and then I will just go straight for a Scald in this matchup. I believe Suicune will just soft lose this lead matchup here, because I think 2 drill runs will just barely take us out. But we go for the Scald. Scald is going to be no shielded by the opponent. Unfortunately, we do not get the debuff. I think if we get the debuff there, we probably do win this matchup in the lead. However, we put them into range where we can come in with the Shadow Raikou, get a Thunder Shock farm down, but they come in with Serperior, so not ideal. We're just going to go for a Shadow Ball anyways, and then I will swap into my Shadow Entei. Shadow Ball is going to be no shielded. We swap into the Entei, but unfortunately they got Unova and Stunfisk, and this is one of the worst things we could see for our backline, aside from maybe a Gastrodon, because they would of course also resist the fire damage from the Shadow Entei. But either way, we fire off a Flame Charge. Flame Charge is going to be shielded, but unfortunately they're just way too spammy here. They will reach 3 charge moves before I'm able to reach back-to-back charge moves with the Shadow Entei, and unfortunately that's going to be game over as the opponent makes it to a 3rd Mob Bomb, gets the KO there. We can come back in with the Raikou. They're already at a Frenzy Plant. They're going to swap back into Serperior. Frenzy Plant gets the KO, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG so on there, into the next battle, we see another Clodsire in the lead. So again, Suicune doing fairly well here. The opponent's going to save swap into Dugong, and we're going to respond with our Shadow Raikou. So again, we kind of have to shield this, but we'll then be able to overfarm quite considerably in this matchup. So I'm going to farm up 2 back-to-back Wild Charges here, throwing after 4 Thunder Shocks, throwing on good timing. Wild Charge is going to be no-shielded. It gets the 1-shot there. They come back in with the Clodsire. Of course, we are debuffed since they baited with an Icy Wind, but Shadow Ball still going to hit fairly hard. It does about 35% of their HP there, so actually not that hard really, but we can reach another Shadow Ball before they farm me down, and they no shield once again, which is very nice for me. We can now come in with our Shadow Suicune, and again, Damage Sponge for the team, bulkiest Pokemon here. They go for an Earthquake, they then swap into a Shadow Zapdos, and we are on Ice Fang, so again, Ice Fang coming in clutch for us. We go for a Bubble Beam, we then swap into our Shadow Entei. These Fire Fangs are absolutely chunky. The opponent will reach 2 charge moves here, but no, actually they go for a Thunderbolt, so they're not going to reach a second charge move. We can go for the full Fire Fang farm down, taking out the Clodsire, and I'm able to take that game. So GG to open there, into the next battle, we see Typhlosion in the lead, so this is actually kind of an awkward matchup for us. Of course, Ice Fangs are hitting for resisted damage, Thunder Punch is going to be super effective. I can of course shield the first charge move, as now I can go for a Bubble Beam here. Honestly, Bubble Beam not going to do that much damage, but it's probably going to grab a shield anyways, and it does. But I'm then going to swap, catch the next Thunder Punch onto my Shadow Raikou. However, maybe this isn't the brightest play on my end, because now they can just stay in with the Typhlosion, dealing huge damage there, and they actually opt for an extra Incinerate. We go straight for the Wild Charge. The opponent actually no shields there. However, they come in with Malamar, and they get the perfect Psywave farm down there, just as we reach a Wild Charge. And unfortunately, things are now not looking so good for us. We're going to come in with the Shadow Suicune. We're going to no-shield once again, fire off a Scald, but the opponent makes a brilliant catch there, catching onto Shadow Feraligatr. And unfortunately, I think this game is going to be over, despite getting the debuff with that Scald. I'm not going to be able to Fire Fang farm them down, so I will shield this as I go for a Hydro Cannon. I'm then going to throw a Charge Move on the CMB tie, and my only hope really is that the opponent no-shields this for some reason. But even then, I still think we've got a long way to come back from. And the opponent is just going to play it safe, use their shield there, and honestly, they can just swap back into Malamar, go for a Psywave farm down up against the Suicune, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG up there into the final battle of this video, leading into a Shadow Feraligatr, and they actually swap out into a Shadow Gallade. So I'm going to swap, catch the Leaf Blade onto my Shadow Entei. I'm hoping we can go for a full Fire Fang farm down. However, I honestly don't think we will live another Leaf Blade here, so I'm definitely just going to play it safe, use my shield here, go for that Fire Fang farm down. The opponent comes in with a Clodsire, and we've seen so many Clodsire just not respect the damage from a Scorching Sands, and this is no different. We go for Scorching Sands, it does huge damage there, and at this point I think the game is now over. They fire off a Sludge Bomb there. We can come in with the Shadow Suicune, of course. I'm not going to bother shielding up against this Clodsire, as this just isn't going to do too much damage here. The opponent fires off a Sludge Bomb. They don't even swap back into Feraligatr. We can fire off a Bubble Beam here, and then I will swap instantly into my Shadow Raikou. Honestly, that Bubble Beam doesn't really help me too much, but it does grab the first shield here. I'm now going to shield this, and Thunder Shock's doing more damage this season. Still won't allow me to get a full farm down, but we do hopefully put them into range where we can KO with a resisted move with our Suicune in the end game. The opponent reaches back-to-back charge moves. They're going to fire off the second Hydro Cannon. Hydro Cannon gets the KO there, but I can just commit to a Scald, and of course, from this range, despite being resisted, Scald will be enough to take out Feraligatr, and I'm able to take that game. So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.